repeat this a lot. Sorry, my hair is wrapped around my earbud. Is the live goes on. In my recommendation, if you're like pregnant right now, I wouldn't watch this. If you have experienced a pregnancy loss and or stillbirth, I wouldn't recommend watching this. We will be talking about those things. And just a huge disclaimer, if you are somebody who is child choice, or subject for you by choice. I also probably wouldn't are just my recommendations. I can't tell you what to do. I just really don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. This is mostly to share my experience as somebody who, like I said in the title, we accidentally, I didn't even, I think free birth was first coined a term in, I don't know, perhaps I'm wrong, but I gave birth, a home birth, oh my gosh, in 2017. So I saw that the Free Birth Society was created in that same year by Emily Saldea and Yolanda Norris. Now, these women, hey Tony, how are you doing? Oh, yeah, that's fine. I hope you had a good time with your kids. How's your week going so far, Tony? So these principles for this free birth society. Now, granted, these sentiments were already out there. These women didn't come up with this. They, in my opinion, they just capitalized off of it, right? Like there were women who were foregoing medical care, like prenatal care, and not having any any kind of midwife or anything present for their birth on purpose. When I had my home birth about 8 years ago, but like still that floored me. And I know I would be judged by people because I chose to home birth. It was approved by an OBGYN. I had prenatal care. I liked having the choice over certain things. Okay. Like I do believe you should have more choice because, and I should have mentioned this already. Crooked Timber, I put their video in the description. I linked the video that inspired me to go live about this. They covered the Free Birth Society, and I really like their YouTube channel. And they did a great job. And hey, Mr. Carey, how are you doing tonight? It was being with them. My week has been going all right. I hope yours has been good. Yeah, mine's been okay. It's better now that I'm here with you guys. So these free birthers, the Free Birth Society really pushes, like the principles revolve around taking responsibility for one's birth, is what they call it, by having what they call a sovereign birth. And this includes being I'm sorry, I forgot the term, having a wild pregnancy, meaning no prenatal care. First of all, I think it's kind of ridiculous to be putting names like that on things that are so serious. The babies have no choice. So when you're considering yourself to be making the sovereign free woman choice, think about the baby. In like 20 years from now, would they have hoped that you had like at least some prenatal care? I'll admit, I didn't get all the bells and whistles with my prenatal care, but this was also the third child I had with the same man. So, like, I personally, I didn't get the gestational diabetes test, and the OBGYN was fine with that. He did order a few extra ultrasounds because he was concerned my baby wasn't gaining enough weight. They don't can't tell a baby's weight from ultrasounds. It was he could have revoked the right for me to home birth at any point in time. And that was the deal with my midwife, like we will go to the hospital if the doctor at any point decides this isn't good. And like having that is going to improve the outcome so much when you walk into the situation knowing for a fact you're a low risk woman. And especially, this is completely my opinion. I am not a medical professional. I know I'm not an expert in any way, shape, or form, but I just don't understand how a woman, I think it's incredibly brave to want to go natural your first time giving birth. I think like it crosses from brave to crazy and irresponsible when you have no prenatal care, nobody that has attended hundreds of births before yours there with you at your birth. And I will explain my story after I get through my notes that I wrote about the Free Birth Society, just so everybody knows. Hi, Maritza. How are you? I love your name. Okay, so prenatal care, yeah, so they don't believe um, in any medical professionals at all, even, but they offer courses themselves, and I'll get into that in a second. They believe that we all have feminine wisdom, like innate wisdom, and formal education is like just horrible. And I wanted to talk about midwife certification because it's like a lot of people just don't know. There are midwives, I could just call myself a midwife. I could just say I'm a midwife, basically. I'm not saying that's what all midwives do. I'm just saying if there's just a plain midwife, they're just midwife, then they're certified midwife. They go to a school, granted, it's not your traditional medical school, no, but they go to a school, they attend, I think, like 100 births before they have one all on their own. And they also okay, I can't say this for sure. Mine was a certified midwife and she worked with the OBGYN. I'm under the impression that they do. Then there's certified nurse midwives. That's what it sounds like. An RN who decided to become a midwife and who does home births. And yes, they cost twice as much as the certified midwives. And you have to usually be closer to a city. Like we didn't have one available where we were, but I heard like women would go stay at a hotel or, go out of their way to stay closer to be in that range so they could have the certified nurse midwife. And I think that's amazing that women like have those choices. And frankly, I don't want them to be taken away because there's so many women that wanted to make a competition out of it. And that's what a lot of people think about natural birth altogether. Oh, you deserve a trophy or whatever. But like when you do set a goal, it's just like running a marathon. I don't think every single woman needs to run a marathon in order to feel like she's had some rite of passage in her life. But if you have the goal of giving birth naturally and you do it, yes, it does feel like an accomplishment. I will admit that. And so I do understand why some of these people seemingly like get addicted to it. Like, and these women are making careers, just like the trad wives. They're making careers out of birth. These two women are the breadwinners in their family. And I think that's fine. I think that's absolutely fine. But now I'm all over the place with my notes. Another thing I found was really interesting. I didn't, perhaps I'm wrong, but like there's no big group of free birthing dads. When shouldn't there be a group for these guys that are essentially taking on the role of what should be a medical professional or midwife or both? And why aren't they out there giving each other tidbits and advice and like making sure that they know, and like sharing their experiences? And perhaps there are that I didn't find any. Um, Free Birth Society believes midwives subconsciously sabotage birth, just like doctors and nurses in hospitals. They say they don't want people to take their advice. And they're really careful about like making sure that people know they're not giving medical advice. But yet, and Crooked Timber pointed this out on her channel, they sell courses. How is that not like giving people advice? They try to dance around the fact that there's lives in their hands, right? Oh, Valerie, thank you so much. That's so sweet. Thank you. Hi, Boston. Keith, hey, how are you doing? Make sure your midwife knows hypnotic pain relief methods. Keith, I used Hypno Babies. And Yolanda Norris, one of the founders of this Free Birth Society, she's written a book on like pleasurable birth. She's one of those. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I we don't have to make a spectacle out of birth, okay? Like I think it's great when you can have a painless birth, but when you start talking about pleasurable sensations, in my opinion, that's just women trying to like win the natural birthing competition, okay? And people might say that about me because I can honestly say, and she never brings up hypno babies, but I'm like, this woman is totally taking, and like hypno babies didn't come out of thin air either. Hypno babies came from an amalgamation of other practices being put into one too, right? But like she obviously knew about hypno babies. And there's another big one, I can't think of the name, but basically it's hypnosis techniques. And it also is retraining your brain. That's the most important part, in my opinion, is retraining your brain to not think of birth as some scary medical event, like an emergency, which it can be. It can be an emergency situation, don't get me wrong. But to embrace it is your body doing what it's supposed to. I didn't push with my last baby. I breathed him down. And I learned that technique from hypno babies. And they're using all these techniques and they're trying to like act like this is, you can do that in a hospital. Honestly, after my last birth, I decided if I did do that again, I'd have a natural birth in a hospital because the midwife didn't show up in time. And I paid thousands of dollars to have an unattended home birth. And that's what I'm saying. We had an accidental free birth. She was there like, I don't know, 20 minutes or something. I believe I was like just done birthing the placenta because a natural birth, they don't just yank the placenta out right away with the baby. Like in the hospitals, like I didn't know that birthing your placenta was a thing. So I completely understand why women want to take a certain power back, freedom, responsibility. But I also think it's like a complete it's a reaction to how horrible so many hospitals can be. And it's mixed in with that like competitive woman thing, like no matter what we are, like even when we're like moms, like we have to make a competition out of it. I've talked about this a lot on my channel. The neuro wizard approves, Keith said. Hi, RNRN. Ahmed, I don't know what you mean. Rude comments have a 10,000 fee at this time. Thanks for shopping with us. Oh, hey, Yoder, how are you? We're talking about free birth society. Like I knew there was people who intentionally had unattended home births, but I didn't know about this free birth society until, and I linked the video in the description of the Crooked Timber YouTube channel on here made a video talking about this, and it's just wild to me. They don't believe in trained midwives official until they take their course and then call themselves a radical birth keeper, in my opinion. Isn't that funny? Like they midwives are bad, but if a midwife, because it literally says that in the description of this course, they're like, this is for like, women wanting to home birth or a midwife, a burnt out doula, so stuff like that. And it's like, oh my goodness gracious. I have so much to say. This could really be like a 10-hour long video. I already talked about Yolanda's book on pleasurable birthing sensations. And, just like all women that claim to orgasm during birth, she can't shut up about it. Or she has a lot else to say. I'm sorry. I know that sounds mean, but it's just like that stuff it does, it gets to me. It sets up these expectations. Like that's why I always say, like, yeah, my labor was painful. When the actual birthing of the baby was painless. I sincerely mean that. Like visualization, I visualized my body from the side, like glass, and the baby just sliding out and it took a okay, I won't the point is than easy. My second baby was one push because oxytocin, he came flying out, bruised from head to toe. They put a note on his bassinet saying, I'm not losing oxygen. I was just born really fast and I'm bruised from head to toe. Then he got severe jaundice because of that bruising. He couldn't process the bilirubin. He had to be put under lights. We had to rent lights for $600 a day to avoid leaving him in the hospital. As a breastfeeding mom, I really didn't want to leave him in the hospital. They literally already discharged us and they made the mistake. They ran to the room. He was in his car seat. We had our shoes on ready to go. And they're like, oh, you can't leave with him. His bilirubin levels are too high. I'm like, oh, you're literally discharged us, though. You discharged us. And then they like held us hostage for a few hours until the guy from the medical supply company came and rented us some lights for $600 a day. And we took him back to the pediatrician 10 days in a row. On the 10th day to get blood work, the nurse said, I don't know why she's sending you back here. She knows his levels already peaked. You don't need to bring him back here anymore to prick his poor little toes and squeeze blood out of it because so I totally that's another those are big reasons I chose to home birth my third baby. Doctors and medical professionals need to they even call hospitals baby friendly. What is a hospital if it's not baby friendly? A baby friendly hospital is where they'll let you do things like clamp the cord. That's like not always done at all hospitals. And I understand in certain emergency situations, of course, like certain times it isn't possible. There's always going to be exceptions, right? But they take what is like what are like the exceptional situations and make us all follow guidelines according to because they don't want to get sued. I don't know why they can't just have you sign something like I did do it with an OBGYN. I don't want to take the glucose test. I don't want to do that. I, I Anyways, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get through my notes before I talked so much about myself. Their YouTube, the Free Birth Society, depicts birth mostly using words like easy, peaceful, comfortable. Even one video says almost boring. Like, I'm sorry, birth isn't supposed to be any of those things necessarily. And this is coming from somebody like I can't stress it enough. I had long labors, and that's why the midwife didn't show up in time. I told her this with my first two children. I have long labors. I labor for days where I have contractions that go between 5 to 8 minutes apart. Nobody takes it seriously, and then I like take off and like just like whoa, right at the end. It happened with my first child. They turned off the lights. They're like, it's gonna be a while, get some rest. And I was pushing within an hour. And then the second child, induction, because my water broke, I wasn't progressing fast enough according to them. So then I learned that mistake. Like I'm no medical advice. I'm not giving any medical advice. I'm just saying, like my water was barely broken. Like I could have labored longer outside of the hospital, but nobody told me that at that time. And then it's like when it's the same exact thing with other medical choices when it comes to children. Like lives are in your hands, and like it's just these people. It's oh, it's so scary how certain personalities want to take it and like turn it into their identity. I'm a crunchy mom. I don't, vaccine my kids and stuff. And like anybody that's watched me for any amount of time, I'm all about medical freedom. Okay, but like this pushing is like the ideal way and oh my gosh, it really gets to me. And the founder, Emily Saldea, she recently experienced, I'm sorry, disclaimer, we're going to be talking about loss in here. She experienced a loss at 41 weeks. She had a stillborn baby in August. No details of it. Can't speculate any further on that. Like, who knows what could have happened if anything was different. People in Reddit that claim to be close to these women say they do get medical care. They do get prenatal care. They don't forego all prenatal care. Like, they try to make their little shtick, like, you're a wild woman having a wild pregnancy. Get back to nature, have no prenatal care. And like, I do wonder if the extra ultrasounds at the end of my pregnancy had anything to do with my son's now severe autism. I do wonder that, but you can't, what can you do, you know? And there's there's just so many risks, and we we do have the ability. It's just like milk from a farm. We could test the milk if like people wanted to go through a little bit more effort, or just like pasteurize it on your own, you know what I mean? Um but anyways, it's like they will acknowledge it's not all easy with great outcomes. They will. I want to acknowledge that. But like mostly they want to say things that is easy, peaceful. They're like using their I don't want to say methods or advice, because they try to make it clear they're not giving any advice or don't want anybody to think anything like that, but they're selling courses. They have this saying, birth work is death work. Because I mean, we've all heard how common it was, how high the infant and maternal and yeah, maternal mortality rate used to be, how common it was. And in our country, we have one of the worst rates of any first world country. And like, statistics are counted differently in every country. I will give you that. Like, statistics are, especially when it comes to like global things, like you don't want to believe. I know, as somebody who has just like given birth 3 times in this country and been around dozens and dozens of women as a homeschooling mom, dozens and dozens of times I have helped, not helped like I was there or something, but you know what I mean, seen new life and heard about the birth story and da da da. And like, um, we do have issues here. Just like look at a birthing room, at the birthing bed from Europe. Like they will seriously, everything is so much different in Europe for women. The link doesn't work. Thank you for trying it. Okay, I'm sorry about that. I wonder why the link doesn't work. I copied it from there. I copied, select all. Don't apologize. I'm learning a lot. All my children were born in the hospital by their mother's choice. Always heard about natural births, but haven't known much about it. You have to screenshot or type in. Oh, no. I'll try if anybody's interested in it. It, I think it's their most recent video, Crooked Timber. They're a pretty big YouTube channel. It should pop up. And she does such a great job. This woman has had 2 C-sections herself, and she, like a lot of us, she was interested in having a natural birth at home. She said if she was low risk, she might have opted for that with a midwife. And even she even kind of lit up as she was talking. Her husband's like off camera talking to her about the birthing pool. He's like, birthing pool, birthing tub. And she's like, yeah, birthing tub. Because, there's something instinctual about that. I personally, I never desired the water, I just didn't. And but I totally, at the same time, I understand why women do. Like, it does seem, like, extra, comfortable. I don't know why I didn't opt for that. It's funny because every single time I told somebody I was having a home birth, they'd be like, "Are you doing it in a tub?" I'm like, "No." My midwife just suggested get a shower liner, and like wherever you feel, like women give birth all over their house, like you never really know. Like we just run around following them with a shower liner. But of course, like I said, she wasn't there because she didn't listen. I did. I said, I think you should come tonight. I was already having contractions for 2 days. Nobody believes me because I'm so used to dealing with tremendous pain from all of my other female medical conditions. And like at this point, my hernias I didn't even know about, and like bladder condition that if that's one good thing about suffering for years of your life from bad cramps. Birth may be a lot easier for you, but that doesn't mean it's going to be comfortable, peaceful. I watched a lot of their content, just, I mean, I should say a few to several hours, several hours. I didn't really see these honest conversations taking place that I've seen in other with other women where they're just it's just natural birth. Once again, I don't think I made this disclaimer. I don't think every woman's meant to give natural birth, and I've said this several times on my channel before. I think the women that have C-sections go through the most. And some Crooked Timber said this, people think it's like the easy way out somehow or something, and it's not. It's absolutely brutal to be recovering from that as you are taking care of the new life you just gave birth to. So I couldn't imagine, like, your baby, if your baby's big, you're not even technically supposed to be holding more than 5 pounds, right? And that's like, a lot of babies are over 5 pounds. So I can't stress that enough. This is just for like people on this same path, people who are interested in this, and it's going to be even more people because of what's going on with our healthcare system, what is going on with rural hospitals. It was already a thing because of how horrible so many, and I've mentioned this before, there's no personal, like my first two kids, you had a doctor assigned to you. You might not get that doctor when you actually give birth, but the goal is that doctor will come when you are at the hospital to give birth. And then now it's like you are a big part of a practice. They just get bigger and bigger. These practices with a dozen, 2 dozen doctors. You just see a different doctor every single prenatal visit, and then you don't whatever whoever's on call that night when you go into labor till you get. How can that help with outcomes? I don't think that could help with outcomes. I had a hysterectomy in April, and when I go for a checkup, I had to have cauterization done recently. I want that surgeon who's seen me before, during, since, ideally, right? But, like, if I had to trust another medical professional, I would, but, like, usually, like, it's just that's one thing. That's just my opinion. Dr. LaGrue in California, he implemented obstetric crash carts in his county and greatly improved outcomes. This proves we can improve outcomes, and it's not just all in anybody's head. What is going on in our country with the infant and maternal mortality rates? They are abysmal for what they should be. We spend the most of any country on healthcare, and that doesn't equate to like good outcomes with mother and children at all. And you know where I'm going with that. It also is part of how we just don't care about women and children. The misogyny is strong. And if you don't give a shit about women, you're not going to give a shit about the babies that they birth and carry, even when they are men like you. Hey, Gary, how are you doing? Keith, I learned my verbal medicine skills have to have a skill to trade when bad gets bad. Hey, Homer dude, how are you? That's smart, Keith. I know what you're saying. I can't do cold plunges, can't handle any more shrinkage. Okay, Grower. Yeah, I was just hearing how that's like um really beneficial for your immune system. Like I know I've heard that before. I just never heard anybody explain in detail how like it. Give me 1 second. I have sorry. Just thought I made it clear I was going live. You know what I mean? Anyways, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, the cold plunges. Wonder if women have cold plunge childbirth. Oh my gosh. I don't think that'd be good for the if it was still cold when the baby came out, you know. It's definitely like a warm, not like hot tub hot. Even though I had a vertical C-section, I still had a midwife up till 6 to 7 months. Oh, good evening, Homer dude. Um, yeah, and that's another thing. Women for so we need other women, in my opinion, when it comes to birth, to encourage a woman not to have anybody there with her. That just it's like not only is it dangerous, it just seems like so wrong. It just goes against all my natural instincts to not have another woman there. Like even this wasn't a comment on Crooked Timber. There's animals that gather around the birthing female animal in their group, like we need each other. And it just to I do think a lot of it and, this Yolanda woman, I've never seen Crooked Timber say, like, something about she's like, "This woman is so unlikable." She just exudes, like, this energy, which she doesn't talk about energy a lot, and I can attest, I watch, like, every one of her videos. I never heard her talk like that, but it's just like these people, they do things are better than they would never say that, they would never say that, but, in my opinion, this is a competition, and like I said, you do feel accomplished. When you set a goal and you reach it, you feel accomplished no matter what that goal is, right? And, like, so they don't have these I started to say this earlier, I haven't seen them, I'm sure they have, but it's just interesting to me, like, all these, like, experiences, it's like, you hit the wall. You get to a point where you're like overwhelmed. I can't take like every cell in your body is overwhelmed and like the pressure is so intense and like this is right after that you get this surge. It's like amazing. Like every woman that gives natural birth, from what I can tell, this happens to every single woman. And once you get over that hump, it is like it's just amazing the way your body, if everything is going right, and like the baby being turned sunny side up, I believe they call it, the baby being turned the wrong way. Um, Little things can make it impossible to have a painless natural childbirth, even if you have a natural childbirth, like to it's just weird to me. I think social media has a lot to do with it. I think a lot of these women, they just want so badly to have the birth story for social media. We didn't film ours, and I wouldn't have shared it ever in my life if we did. I just think that's such a personal moment. And at the same time, I'm grateful for people that did share that because it helped me. And I've watched births, and but you know what I mean? I'm just an introverted person, and I think that it's going from educational, wanting to help others on the same path, to like more of a competition and like the oh my gosh, the maternity pictures. I'm sorry. I should stop giving my opinion on stuff like that. How much money is birthing in hospitals? Does insurance pay for it? Okay, yeah, I've had my first baby was Medicaid, my second baby was private insurance, and my third baby was, Medicaid for the OBGYN, but then we paid out of pocket for the midwife. Um, because if you make under $70,000, you can get Medicaid if you don't have health insurance in US. I don't know, about 15, 16 years ago, just about, it was, I want to say it was like 7,000 out of pocket before the $600 worth of lights for like a month. If I'm remembering correctly, my son, my middle child, we had a bill for 900 something. We couldn't afford it at the time. It was 8 years ago, so my memory may be failing me, but we were like, I had a women's first, they're like the premier OBGYN in Louisville too. That's, one reason it cost even extra. They had like a $25, listen to me, $2,500 retaining fee. Like, you had to pay them extra just to have them. Sorry about that. Of course, this is one reason I don't go live. Maybe you guys can't hear him, but my kid is freaking out. Women are badasses. Yes, okay, grower. We really are. And like, I think that it is natural, like it is natural. Our bodies are made to do it. But at the same time, like we have everything going against us, right? Like the environmental factors, societal factors. If people really honored women, pregnant women, women giving, like, I know some people do, but you know what I mean? Like across the board, it was like, oh my gosh, like celebrated. Oh, everything would be so different, and I think that a lot more births would be more pleasurable, for lack of better term. Um, Okay, they also encourage allowing yourself to go past the due date. And I also think that's a reaction to hospitals inducing so many people, like for silly reasons, in my opinion. Crooked Timber said she was induced, and looking back, she thinks that maybe she shouldn't have been, or like she would change things if she could. But she's, like uh, most of us feel like as long as we've got our health and our baby's health at the end of the day, and I do think that's another reason why things don't change. And you're just, like, so glad to walk away from there, like, and, profit is all that matters. I'm almost done with my notes. Okay. Being concerned about baby's first moments, like not having the cord clamping, like, having bright lights, like these lights, like in the baby's face, and having other people handle them and like slap them, like a lot of doctors and medical professionals used to do or still do, like, which is necessary. Don't get, I know like the percussion therapy to get mucus out of the lungs can be necessary sometimes, but you know what I mean? Just like people want a more intimate experience. And I totally understand that. And I do wonder how much the way we are birthed plays into the rest of our lives. And a traumatic birth experience could maybe possibly rewire somebody's brain or shape their personality for better or for worse. I shouldn't say for better if it's traumatic. You know what I'm trying to say. And like, it wasn't that long ago in the 1940s, 50s. I believe it stopped in most areas by like the 50s, mid 50s, but it was done in rural places. They would strap women down, strap their wrists down, strap their ankles down, give them scopolamine. If you're unaware what that is, a lot of people use it to like rob people because it will get them in this state where they don't remember anything, but they're still conscious. And so these women would wake up strapped and drugged and have a baby, you know? And like, could you imagine? Like, I'm sorry, don't tell me that was like conducive to any kind of like good connection. Like, how many women might have like struggled to make a connection or, and I don't want to speculate on anybody's like, mental health when it comes to those situations. They're so delicate and sensitive. But I do wonder, and, like, for the rest of those babies' lives, if your mom was strapped down to a bed and, like, was going crazy giving birth to you, that's why they had to strap her down because she's, like, going crazy and fighting all of this because she doesn't know what's going on because they drugged her with this certain drug to try to make their lives easier. I'm sorry, you have to laugh at it. I have a video about this on my channel. It is horrific. We are walking around today. Think about there's baby boomers who were born to a mother strapped to a bed, drugged with scopolamine. It's starting to add up, right? Like, I'm sorry, like I'm laughing nervously. It makes a lot more sense now, the more you think about it. And that's not to say everybody born in the 40s and 50s, not at all, but it was a thing. Later than you would think it was. Oh, hey, Alan. How are you doing tonight? Oh, thanks, Gary. First time in your stream. What do you do in your stream? Send me location. I talk about all sorts of stuff. I really am all over the place. Mostly like social, sometimes political, mostly like social topics. How can I have an opinion when I don't have any kids? Gary said. Well, I think that being a part of society, whether or not you have kids, birth affects you, right? Like it is important to all of us. But I see what you're saying about like having a strong opinion on something. Even though a C-section, my midwife attended it to be sure she handled the baby afterwards. She was like a hawk to be sure no shots and all that I requested. That's awesome, Yoder. That's so nice to hear. Right. You can have a midwife attend your hospital birth. Like you don't have to have it at home. You can have that in places where birth didn't leave hospitals. Oh, thank you, Acid Burn. How are you doing tonight? Like, okay, so home birth statistics vary from state to state, and Alaska has the best home birth outcomes because it never left, like, birth stayed at home more so in Alaska. You know what I'm trying to say? There's so many rural areas that people practiced there and handed down their knowledge and wisdom, and they proved that, like, if you in places they didn't bring birth into the hospital and then try to bring it back, they do have better outcomes. That's not to say that there's no place for hospitals. Absolutely. I know plenty of people I love were born via C-section and like I'm very thankful that we have emergency medicine and emergency surgery when we need it, especially during pregnancy and child like birth. It's like so serious. And I think a lot of women take for granted or like they do know it and it's like a rush for them. I don't like being pregnant, giving birth is the closest you will ever get to death as a woman. For most women, it is serious. That is a saying. Giving birth is the closest you will get to death. And that's why when people want to argue with me over like a man sacrifice, men in war and stuff. I admire that and I respect those sacrifices. I think it's about time we all start to admire and respect the sacrifices that we make as women. And our bladders are never the same. I'm sorry, but like there's more women walking around with their bodies forever changed and it changes your mind. You will be a different person inside and out because of childbirth, and I think most women think it's worth it, but not every woman does. And that's another conversation more people are having when it comes to regretting having children. And I think the internet is really important to bring to light a lot of these topics. Belly button down when I woke up. Yoder. Aw. And it kind of made me a little emotional. Like I genuinely didn't want any more children. I really didn't. But it still is a woman that has no uterus. It still like gets to me that I can't have kids. It's funny. It's just like in your biology is always like, and it made me a little sentimental. Like watching the women. I totally understand the appeal of once okay, this is the last thing in my notes. There's so much RH factor misconceptions, and I could be wrong. I'm not a medical expert. I don't give any medical advice because the last time I spoke to somebody about it, they said honestly, they tell us something different about it every from year to year. When it came to the Rogam shot, what they give you if you are RH negative, and you, I I had an agreement with the OBGYN. I'm not getting that shot. I'm not getting that shot this time. Till and unless I have an accident where our blood could have mixed, then I'll get it because you can get it like within 48 or 72 hours of the potential blood mixing happening. That's the only time it is going to affect you. And birth is a big time and your blood might mix. So you definitely get the baby's blood tested after birth. And guess what? The baby was negative like me. So there was no reason to ever get that. And like that was like one kind of like point of contention. He was like, "Oh, I don't know. Okay, like sign this piece of paper that like if he's born positive, you will get it." And I was like, and this might be my last baby too. And he's like, "Oh, well, especially if it's your last baby, that's fine with me." Because it's for the subsequent babies. It's not for that baby whose blood mixed with yours. You will then not be able to carry a pregnancy possibly with the next baby if it is with a positive RH positive is what I mean by that. And that baby, if you do form a baby, could likely have negative health outcomes because of that. So I always thought it was that baby you had. And if anybody, any medical experts, I have asked so many people about this, and that is a conclusion I have came to. And if anybody would like to prove me wrong and point me in the direction of like, because I think that's another thing that they want us to be in the dark about. They want women who are RH negative to think they have to get that thing. And I'm not giving any medical advice, but like it really, it's like for the next child. But anyways, hi Liam, how are you doing? Hey Earth Brain, how are you? The sun is messing with the internet. Women have it worse without war, Earth Brain said. Acid burn. Well, because I got the uh vid-19 shot, then I got flu symptoms over time. I go to yeah, every time you go to a store, I'm sorry to hear that acid burn. Yeah, and H1N1 flu, it did a number on me in my early 20s. Hi, baby cat pawing. How are you? Acid burn. You also bought my membership some weeks to a month ago. It just ended. I just happily renewed, but thank you for getting me into the door. Oh, that's so nice, Tony. Mr. Carey said, acid burn, gifting 5 memberships. Acid burn, you rock. Also, thank you for the membership. That's nice. Oh, yay, Mr. Carey got one. I'm glad. Um, Yeah, men and women both struggle. Childbirth is a struggle constantly. You deserve all credit. Yes, and like not, and that's like not to make it a competition at all, but like if somebody brings up the sacrifices men make, I'm going to bring up the sacrifices women make. You know what I mean? And of course they're going to be different, but I think they're complementary, right? You protect us and sometimes give your life. We literally like protect, like bring life, and if you're a good mom, you protect it in the process and give life. I think that's a pretty, I wish war didn't happen, but even on smaller scales, like um, people compete with other neighboring groups of people. You know what I'm saying? Especially once technology gets to a certain point, it's kind of like you can't not have something like that. Dennis said my daughter was born C-section. Now every time she leaves the house, she goes out through the window. Dennis, that's such a dad joke. I like that joke. A task in this country currently being the alpha. No, wait, being the alpha, you mean so I wanna talk about my home birth just a little bit more because I didn't wanna, like, go on and on about that, but like I said, my child actually he was born, like, 20 minutes before the midwife got there, and everything was fine, like, he cried right away, you know what I mean? Like, we felt like everything was fine and everything, but then we noticed he had a knot in his cord. And, like, it's kind of rare to have a true knot in your cord. So, because of that and her not being there on time, I told myself that if we ever gave birth again, and this is how I feel about it, like because I did do it naturally and I know that I can in the right circumstances with everything aligning right, I would want to go to a hospital. I'd wanna, like, do it in front of the doctors, like, show them that you can give birth, like, squatting, with barely making a noise. Like, this is not the goal for all women, and it shouldn't be, but, like, it's so scary, and it's like the pain is, like, probably the worst pain most women will ever feel. They say it's like having, I don't know what, like, 8 bones broken at once or something. That's about right. That moment when you hit the wall and, like, it's just, like, such an amazing feeling. I think other people gain it from other things, like I mentioned running a marathon earlier, like, when people have, like, what they might consider a lofty goal for themselves and then they reach it, like, that does wonders for your self-esteem, and, when the midwife came through the door, the first thing she said, "You did it." And, I remember just, like, being, like, so proud and, like, but at the same time, like, I can't stress it enough, it's not meant to be like that in every single situation, and we really did get lucky in a lot of ways. But then I wonder, he didn't have oxygen deprivation. His APGAR was great. What is APGAR supposed to be high? Is it 10? It's supposed to be a 10, right? He had like a 10. She's confident he didn't have oxygen deprivation due to the knot in his cord, but it's something that I will always wonder about personally, honestly. And I think it's kind of sad. Like I didn't want a home birth until I was running out of options and was like hitting a lot of roadblocks when it came to getting a good OBGYN because I didn't want to go to the hospital in that little town. And I know I'm not the only person who's picky about stuff like that. And it's funny, it's like where we live now, basically there's a hospital like 40 minutes away. That's like the hospital where most women within an hour of it go to. Like I've heard this from multiple people at different places of employment that like that is the place to go to give birth. And it's funny, it was like that in Indiana. There was a better known, I went 40 minutes north to give birth somewhere better. And medical and professionals, and there's good ones everywhere. But certain hospitals, like they form certain reputations for good reason. As a male, I'm happy men don't give birth. We would have very few births. I know what you're saying, but I think that if you did, you would be built for the pain. And the reason, like estrogen is supposed to help with pain. So this makes sense, like why women seem to handle illnesses better in general, not across the board, but like, men tend to suffer more from illness. And like, I believe if you were built to like build the babies and give birth to them, then you probably wouldn't. Oh, acid burn. Thank you again. Thank you so much for the memberships. I appreciate you. I hope you have a good night. I would absolutely dread giving birth, Earth Brain said. And I can't even, it's funny, like you are so ready for it. By the time it's time, like you want it to happen because even with my last, I wasn't incredibly uncomfortable, but you just want your body back, like you just can't wait. It's like nature's way of making you uh not fearful. Not that it's not scary in its own way, and you never know when it's going to happen. Hi David, how are you doing? 7 to 10 is good APGAR level. He might have been a 9, but he was 9 or 10, and that's what it's like, when I asked his pediatrician about it, he saw a pediatrician the week he was born. Actually, it was 2 weeks after. He saw a chiropractor before he saw a pediatrician. So, I don't know, but my midwife saw that baby more than what a pediatrician would have. She came the day after he was born. She came a week after he was born, and because she was taking, she did the newborn blood work. So people just certified midwives have pitocin on them. They have everything that that obstetric crash cart that Dr. LaGrue implemented in California. They had everything that that obstetric crash cart would have. So most situations, because I'm not going to say all situations, but a good midwife will be able to transfer you and have the tools needed to keep you and baby safe during the transfer. And no, like, would we be able to go to the hospital like where the doctor was that approved my birth? Probably not. If you're transferring, you probably want to go as quickly as possible. And she would tell you like the hospital nearest to you, does she have relationships with people there? Regardless, you can go to give birth anyway. But it's always nice to know, like she's like, yeah, I've been there with a few women before, and they know me. And um, my best childhood friend lost his mind on acid, and I blame myself for partaking. Sorry, I didn't realize someone was named Acid LMAO. Earth Brain. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Earth Brain. I had a bad trip. I had a really bad trip when I was 16, so I really empathize with that. Oh gosh, it was a synthetic. Is it AMT or DMT? I can't remember, but it was like the synthetic version of that, and it was absolutely awful. And it did make me stay away from drugs for a long time. Well, except for marijuana. And psychedelics scared me so badly, anything like that. And yeah, I wonder how many people, I mentioned this, there was I forget who said it. When you drink before your brain is fully developed, you can possibly cause brain damage. Whereas like the same amount of alcohol wouldn't cause brain damage if your brain was fully developed. And I just wonder how many things that's true about. I had an amazing trip at 16, felt like Alice in Wonderland. Oh, that's nice. That's what I was hoping for, but maybe one day I'll do a story time about that. But yeah, I do think that, it so my midwife, she would part of what she did, she'd be on call for people who weren't certified yet or didn't intend on getting certified, they just wanted to be midwives. Basically have a I'm just gonna say a lower price point, okay? And there might be other reasons why you would truly want that particular person, other than they cost half as much as a certified, and then, a quarter nurse midwife. But let's be real. I think most of the time it's that. And then they're calling like a certified nurse midwife. And like, what if she is attending a birth, And so, anyways, there are these levels. And I think that we should all be aware of what's going on in birth because it could end up taking away rights from women or changing things somehow. Hey, Fishing Queen, we're doing well. How are you? Tony, my worst trip was on KT Spice synthetic weed. Yeah, you told me that one time. That I've heard bad things about that. Yes, Earthbrain said don't do K2. Yeah, any people in here don't do the do they even sell that anymore? I'm pretty sure that got like done away with. It was so bad. Thought I was gonna die. Just kept hoping my parents wouldn't come in and see me dead on the ground. Oh, never had K2 after that. That's horrible. I'm glad you're feeling better, a little better, Fishing Queen. Yeah, that is like that kind of thing. And I'm not trying to put it in your head, Tony, like you're traumatized, but like I don't think a lot of us really realize like how traumatizing thing and the imprint that trauma makes on us. And like having a situation like that where you really think, something's wrong, even if it's not. It's horrible. I really, really feel for anybody that's it's scary, like especially if you aren't aware, like it was a double dose. We didn't know it was going to be that strong until the next day. Then the person who gave us was like, "Oh, that was a double dose, by the way." It's like, no wonder I ended up in the hospital. It was like 90 pounds. And like now with everything possibly being laced, I tell my kids all the time, like, you can't experiment with anything, because even something you think isn't going to be that strong could be laced with fentanyl now. Yeah, I still remember. It was terrifying. I would agree, traumatized. We can laugh about it now. Thank you, Mr. Carey. I appreciate it. I really appreciate you. So I got through everything in my notes, and I hope I said everything. I've had a few videos on home birthing, and I really like. I think it's such a personal choice. And back 8, 9 years ago, when I was choosing to do it, there was so much less like social media. It's so interesting the way that like as things progress and people put more on social media and more people are forming careers off of being influences in every realm possible. Of course, it would end up people being birth influencers, And um, gosh, one of the founders, I believe Yolanda, I could be wrong about this. I believe she just had her 11th child. And I'm not going to knock anybody that wants to have a large family. But when you're making money off the internet and you're a large family, I am going to question, like, are you popping out all these babies because you're like, it's a extra, it's like a bonus for, every time you have another one. May Our Lady friends just automatically and naturally find their path to their full peace and comfort with every healing breath. Keith, you're so sweet. Earth brain. KT, I had my soul ripped from my body by the devil and I vomited for an hour after. Oh, what was that? What was that stuff that started with an S? Salvia? Remember in the early 2000s? I know, I don't think that was as bad as KT, but I remember in the early 2000s, a lot of people having some like they didn't realize how strong it would be, like stuff like that. I wouldn't doubt it if that's done on purpose. That's what a conspiracy realist I am. I wouldn't doubt it if they put things like that salvia in gas stations. Oh, 5 years later, we're going to do this K2. And then 5 years later, we're going to put strong kratom. Like I do take kratom. I don't recommend it. I'm not trying to be a hypocrite though. It really is addictive. You can't like just take it and then stop. And now they have these extracts. Oh my gosh. I haven't taken an extract in like a year. I just take the powdered. I couldn't. The extracts are so strong. I mean, it would be enough to incapacitate somebody, some of these things. And they're sold as like wellness drinks and stuff sometimes. It's crazy. Oh, Mr. Carey, take your time. Keith says, I'm a strategy creator. That's the best way to be, right? We all have problems and you have to be able to solve them, ideally. I honestly loved salvia. It's way realistic. It's a plant sold at Home Depot, just concentrated. Yeah, earth brain. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's a very common landscaping plant, right? And I never took it myself. And the people I remember talking about it, they just like they didn't have bad trips, but they didn't expect to hallucinate as much as they did, right? And they're like, oh, and it only lasts like a minute, right? It's very short-lived. I never heard of anybody like going crazy like with the K2, to be fair. Whole compound, please. Yes, Keith Van, that is something. And with vitamins too, even with supplements, like they're often missing important cofactors. Like you can make a synthetic atom of something, but if you don't have the cofactors that usually go with it, it's not going to be the same. Tony, that sounds terrible, Earth Brain. I was curled up in a fetal position, couldn't open my eyes, but I swear my brain was trying to cope by saying, like in big red letters, warning, sounds silly, but it's what I remember. Keith, I enjoy the collar breathing method mostly. What is that, Keith? I guess I should look that up. I don't know if you're going to be able to explain it in the comments, but that sounds interesting. I don't think I've ever heard of that. Collar breathing method. And yeah, the things in hip, no babies. And that's another funny, like just I understand, like, you should be compensated. Like, I don't think these people shouldn't nobody should have a course online or anything, and I benefited from Hypnobabies, but I could not have bought that thing brand new. I couldn't afford the midwife's fees on top of, and everything else we needed to get. We had just bought our first house a few months before, like, Crimea River, right? But, like, one income, we just couldn't afford whatever it was, like $300 or something. And so I bought it used. And then, like, part of it was this, like, entrance into an online Facebook group, I believe. And then at one point, they're like, trying to suss out everybody in the group that had like bought it used and like how it's against the rules to like buy this thing. And if I was that person, I'd be like, you know what? If it's out there, that's what's most important. And if I make less money, I'd rather make a little less money than it reach less people. You know what I mean? Just like when I made my weighted blankets, I made them significantly cheaper so more people could buy them. And if I made something surrounding a sovereign birth, painless, more painless childbirth, I wouldn't have the heart to like only make it available for like upper income, it's just interesting to me. But I know it's always going to be a thing, people capitalizing off of literally everything. Chakras, collars, the breathing method. Oh, fishing queen, I'm doing okay. I believe you, Tony. That was terrible, and I am shell shocked from it. I will never do anything synthetic again. Yeah, Earth Brain, that's how I feel too. Keith, man, keys to your neurology colors. Okay, Keith. Sorry for taking over your live through the chat. I digress. Earth Brain, no, I'm done with my notes. You're not taking over. I wouldn't call it that. I share my verbal medicine skills to help others release their pains, fears, and phobias. That's nice, Keith. You have to stretch it out first, I believe. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay. We are all chilling here, Earth Brain. Who's wrong about what, Boston, George? But yeah, I wanted to get on here earlier while I could and talk about this. I I really like I know it's kind of a sensitive topic that like even if you're not interested in it at all, it does affect you. It might affect you more than you realize one day. And yeah, the medical industrial birthing complex is a legit thing. There are reasons why women are fed up with it that are like absolutely real. They should be addressed in other ways than women going off into their calling it themselves having a wild pregnancy. Like it's just so crazy to me. I just wonder they like what other realms of their life would they have the nerve to do those things in? And it's like so easy when you're pregnant and like the baby's not quite here yet to just like be a little bit more selfish. And like I do think the woman should be able to choose however she gives birth. And it gets to me when guys don't let their woman give birth the way that they want to. I don't think that that should be a thing. I think that whoever's giving birth should be able to choose the birth plan exactly how they want. And like going against your own plans, your own wishes, it might just result in worse outcomes, if anything, or it could, not necessarily for sure, but it's just, yeah, it's all the doctors and hospitals hospital's fault is how I look at it. Even though these women are being a little goofy, I think that it's really a reaction, and they only have so many women to prey upon because of all the horror stories, we've all heard them, but you also have to, realistically, like, there are I didn't I mean, somebody said there are more stillbirths from home births than in the hospital. So, I just looked at I have a video about it, and this is several years old, but, like, they vary state to state, home birth statistics, and like I said before, Alaska has, like, great outcomes because they haven't left home as much, and the key in places like Europe and other countries that have better outcomes, in my opinion, is they are more assisted by midwives. Like Anna said, she had a midwife attended hospital birth. She ended up having a C-section, but she still had a midwife there. That midwife will help you make choices that, like, only another woman who has walked through this, gone through this, and gone through this with other women several times over will be so good at helping you make and making sure that the doctors don't do what you don't want them to do and things like that. And you're very incredibly blessed, more than 99.9% of women. I'm sorry, guys, but it's like I don't blame any man because that's what I think. I don't mean it like men are weak. Men can't do it. They're incapable. That's what I'm saying. There's something about a woman who has also given birth and been there during many births. Who, and like I on the birthing videos, like the guys, they're always like the strong, stoic presence. They're supportive, but they're just like there a lot of the times too, right? And I had so many times I feel bad for them, like because I know what it's like. I know that like my husband expressed that, like you just feel a little helpless, like that's all we do, right? And and that's the father's place. Like ideally, he's there, and he's supporting you in the ways that he can. But there's never going to be the support like the support of a midwife, and it's so important. And in countries that have better outcomes, they tend to have more midwife assisted births in the hospital as well as out of the hospital. Women have the power during birth. I would not want to be told what is best from a person who would never give birth, right? When it's the man who is like wanting the woman to go natural and like shaming her for not wanting to go natural. I did not want to give natural birth in my first baby. I was so scared. I couldn't imagine um somebody pressuring me or making me feel like I was less than a woman. And like that's what I don't want to give off. But at the same time, it was a transformative experience. I do understand women wanting a natural birth. We need to like be real. Like birth is brutal and it's hard, no matter where you do it. I can't imagine there being a worse outcome than having a bad outcome that could have been preventable, right? Right. So many families have bad outcomes, and they'll never know. But I don't know. We've heard horror stories, it goes both ways. There's horror stories of people who wish they didn't ever go to the hospital, and then there's people that, they wish that they did. I really recommend people to interview. Like, don't feel like you have to just go, like, maybe you do. I'm not in your situation, but like if you have more than one option, more than one hospital, like go and like tour the prenatal wards of every option you have around you. And it like as this uh, wage wealth gap increases, wage disparity, like it's just going to be the birthing center. It's nice. Like we couldn't afford a midwife now, or we'd have to use our tax return, I guess. I think that is what we did with that one, actually. um it's just becoming more out of reach for more people. Okay, RFK should look into that. I wish that he would be more for the infant and maternal mortality rate. I want to say he has acknowledged it before, but in my opinion, it's a systemic issue that stems from misogyny, and it's the female doctors too. It's not just men hating women, but it's like we just like look at women. We have a CEO's podcast about a week ago. There's a panel of four doctors, and one of the doctors said in her residency, the doctor she was training under, I don't know if that's how you say, whatever. She said that he was like, that was a WW, don't put it in the chart though. And she's like, what does that mean? And he said, whiny woman. That's what we call women like that. And there's not much we can do for them. We get a lot of women like that at that age. And it's like from the time we first go to the gynecologist, any problems we have, acne, facial hair, wonky periods, it's the pill, the pill, the pill, the pill, the pill, the pill for literally everything. Polycystic ovaries, the pill, endometriosis, heavy bleeding, blood clots, the pill. mood swings, the pill. Must be awful easy to be an OBGYN. I know I have a chip on my shoulder. I don't think anybody could blame me. And yeah. So after a lot of what I would consider traumatic experiences, it's quite hard for me to go to the appointments I have to go to, but it's like for the health of my sorry, I don't want to be graphic. I had a hysterectomy in April, and it's not like healing the greatest. And it's just like it's never ending as a woman. Like we go through so much. And I know some women are they just like glide through life without any cramps. Like not all women like would be ideal for I don't think we're meant to have heavy, bad, painful periods. I don't think we're meant to have so many imbalanced people, right? Like I'm not meant to have a beard on my face. That's my PCOS. I would boost my beloved immune system for her birth. Keith, that's a really good idea. Tony, right. It's their body and the pain she will need to go through. Keith, I'd rather just ask great questions. Tony, yeah, exactly. I didn't know what else to do besides hold her hand and tell her she's got this and doing great. And that's all you can do, unless you're going to go through the training of a midwife. Like, I just feel like to combat that medicalized industrial birth complex where they treat you like a assembly line and you and your child are just like you do the exact same things to everybody that goes through this assembly line a b c d e and, like, it's of course, there's going to be better hospitals, better nurses and doctors than others. They're not all horrible, but so many women have the same story. It's just and now I like going home as soon as possible, but, like, even after having major surgery, being cut from side to side, a C-section, they're still sending women home in, like, 24 hours. That's crazy. Or do they actually I think maybe they do let them stay 4 days. It's just, like, the way they, like, push us out of the hospital and tell us um, it's like, I was told I'd be healed at 8 weeks. Well, here I am 16 weeks later getting another procedure because I wasn't healed all the way. So, like, they just like they tell you things and they don't tell you even more. And it's like women, yeah, we need to quit like painting these rosy Instagram stories of birthing stories. Like, that's great if yours went well, but it's birth, Let's agree men and women in the end dearly love each other. I hope so, Gary. Tony, pregnancy is intense. Yeah, it is. It really is like almost like having a little alien inside of you or something. I don't mean to offend anybody saying that, but like when you see their feet and their hands and they like roll around, like as somebody who did it 3 times over, I still can't believe that I went through that. Like thinking about it, it's like I'm thinking about somebody else, if that makes sense. And it's amazing. Like immediately after you give birth, or this is how it was with me, immediately after you like start thinking about when you're going to get pregnant again. It's almost creepy. Um, and yeah, I do think it's amazing that that's like God's way of making us forget the pain. Keith, in my healing service, I ask what would be beautiful for your life to be like to bring healing. That's good. Earth brain. LOL, Tony, same. I just sat there and tried to be supportive. I said yes, ma'am, to every doctor, nurse, wife. Keith, if I desired cash, I pretend to be a fortune teller with my cold reading skills. Oh gosh, Keith, that's funny. Tony, yeah, try to stay out of the way, but still near enough to be present. Keith, may you just automatically and naturally be the healer and protector of those we love, and automatically and naturally be the swiftest wolf to those who mean them harm and with every healing breath. Oh, I like that, Keith. Yoder, I beg to go home in 24 hours. They try to keep me like I was like, fudge, no, I want to be home. Yeah, yeah. I mean, like with the second kid. Our shoes were on. He was in the car seat on the bed, and, like, the nurse literally came running into the room, "You can't to stay," like, all dramatic, and then I made a complaint about it, like, this was, like, a month after the fact, they called me, like, "How was your experience at da 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 da?" And I was like, "Actually, let me tell you all about how my experience was." And that lady she told me they put that Billy Rubin sensor on their forehead when they're supposed to put it, like, on their chest or stomach, and it literally like goes higher, it like rises up out of your butt. This is what she told me, okay? I'm not saying for sure this is what is true, but she said that they've been getting onto the nurses telling them not to do that. He clearly was like jaundiced, but he wasn't, it could have been worse, I guess. He looked like a little Native American. He was so dark, like yellow and red from the bruising. But yeah, so, you know, um, that nurse that told me, "I don't know why you're pediatrician," because we had to go to the hospital to get the blood work and then go to the pediatrician's office every day for the first 10 days of his life. And if it wasn't for the nurse at that hospital being like, "You know, you don't have to do this anymore. She's just like doing this to get your," once again, private insurance money. And I've been told that they get paid even more, or like they're more of guaranteed. They get more for Medicaid. So that's not to like, they're like knock like Medicaid gives the doctors less? Like, I don't know for sure though. I bet, oh, I already read that. Would you desire a nervous system reading tonight? Medicine is so divided. I don't know if you want to read my nervous system, Keith. How do you do it, Keith? Oh gosh. I feel like I have improved a lot, but there's still like so much improvement to be done. And but yeah. So we went through all the points that I had on my notes. If nobody has any other input, I think I'm going to wrap this up. I hope somebody learned something. And I don't want to make fun of anybody's choices, but I think that we need to there could be endless nicknames, endless ways we could describe giving birth and trying to make it a little bit better than more wild. You can have a beautiful natural childbirth in a hospital. And in my opinion, I almost think that is what should be done more. I think we need to show the medical system like how it can be done. There are hospitals that are baby friendly too. They will let you do all the cord clamping and the things that you want to do if you are in a place that you can travel to it. I know that isn't easy for everybody. I'm sitting here in you know, gosh, I'd say there's one, two, three. There's 3 or 4 hospitals within an hour of us, and like not everybody's gonna want to travel an hour while in labor. But is there a caller deeply connected to you right now? First impression. I don't know. You want me to just say what comes to mind? Like I would say purple just because there's purple behind me, but I don't know for sure if that's accurate. And that's part of my anxiety and like I have been a lot better about like listening to myself. Like when I think I'm honing in on my psychic abilities. I think we all have them. But I don't mean to sound like one of these ladies. Absolutely, I did learn a lot. I do every life. Oh, I appreciate that. I knew what you meant, Tony. I appreciate that so much. Normal or C-section? What do you prefer? This is Sparta. Oh, whatever's needed, you know. I don't really believe in elected C-sections myself. Like unless she had them before. You know what I'm trying to like a celebrity like Christina Aguilera just not wanting to give birth through her coochie. It's like coochie. And she elects to have a C-section, like, I just think that's that and then people think that they're, like, taking the easy way out, but they're not. You're electing to have major surgery. And that's another thing I didn't say. These women that have 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 kids, like, and they're I don't know how much money they're making, but I have no idea, but it seems like they're probably, like, upper middle class. They are gonna have the resources most likely just from, you know profiting off of, the most sacred experience of most people's lives, whether they're in a hospital or not. And it's like, it's just one day, you know? It's just like, I hopefully it's just one day for you. It might be 3, but like ultimately the birth, you know, it's one day. Like everything like leading up to that and after that is so much more important. And it is also important to process it if you believe you were wronged or you had a traumatic birth. Like I'm not trying to be dismissive of that at all. But to have these goals of like it's everything. You know, it's just kind of it's but yeah. You know, people are going to say there's reasons to not get C-sections, but like the C-sections are they're always going to be valid and needed in certain situations, right? So I never say that going past your due date, there was one woman on here when you just look up free birth, I forget her channel's name. She claimed to be 45 weeks pregnant. And somebody's like, you miscalculated your last period because there's just simply no way. Or like there I think that it is possible. I'm not an expert in any of this at all. I think I have heard of plenty of women talk about going up to like 44 weeks. And it is more common than what our medical system wants to acknowledge. In my opinion, from what I've gathered, and this is like a big reason why a lot of women, like I said, with my second, I was induced, it just like put a firm foot down, be like, no, I'm not coming in at 37 weeks to get induced. Are you gonna like discharge me as a client? Do I need to find another OBGYN? I know you don't want to talk to your doctor like that, but like like it's better than just like foregoing any and all medical care, in my opinion. And these women, you read the Reddit, and of course, it's a bunch of gossip. Can't say if any of it's true. It's mere hearsay and speculation. But it paints a picture of people. It's like it's all for profit. It's not really to help people, in my opinion. I mean, they probably think that they are in the process, but like the profit is like the main motivation, and that is clear. And that's one reason, like as I talk about my Vicine injury, and I'm sorry I have to mispronounce it like that. I know it's ridiculous. I really don't ever want to come across as giving anybody medical advice. I don't want to be responsible for anybody's medical choices. But at the same time, like sometimes it is nice to hear some anecdotal evidence when you like to see what's worked for somebody else, especially when like all the doctor will ever offer you are antidepressants, no matter what's wrong with you. That's what PCPs do. With OBGYNs, it's the birth control pill. With PCPs, at least for us women, and like not to knock anybody that's on antidepressants, that works for them, but it's like I can't see a PCP without them trying to shove an antidepressant down my throat. And um I don't I don't know. You're anxious about how you're going to increase your household income. Yes, and yes. Well, yes, Keith, I'm always anxious about that. I sense you're seeking a shift in your financial life. Yes. Yes, you're right. Seeking increasing your household income, right? Yes, because we do have two incomes for the first time. I mean, I guess we did last year briefly, but like usually we can't sustain two incomes for any significant amount of time. And hopefully with YouTube, knock on wood, now we'll be able to, right? And that's why I appreciate you guys so much. You have 3 options for increasing your household income. Yes, and resourceful. Um, 3 options. Maybe so. Keith, I think we all feel that way, right? Right, Earth Brain, oh my goodness. Oh, and isn't it so sad, like, to see okay, so I have mixed feelings about this myself when it comes to the EBT benefits, like, somebody said that people who are disabled, but there has to be children. Like most people getting them have children in their care. So like I automatically think like, oh no, like that's horrible. I don't care who is living off of the government. I don't care. If you're living off the government, I don't care. Like I just don't see I don't see impoverished people born into poverty, let's be real. I have heard that there's like people that have gained the system living in nice mansions or whatever. I personally have never seen that personally in my life. I think we all know like the type. In this video I watched, and Lovely T was talking about the EBT stuff, and like there was examples of this, like where oh god, I'm just the person has like their nails done, their hair done. I've had like two professional haircuts since I became a mom. There's just like certain sacrifices you have to make, and so, like, I really do feel for the people that genuinely need them, especially people that have children, because, like, it's hard to keep food in the house with these prices. And now you're just gonna pull the rug out from people? It's not right. But the reason why they're gonna get away with it is because there's so many people with that attitude. Like I just said, I do get it, that they're like tired of seeing other people get what they consider handouts. Meanwhile, well, we're all struggling, and that mentality that is just gonna lend to so much, oh my gosh, so many people talking about how they're just gonna steal and loot, and then what's gonna happen after that, you know? It's so awful what they're doing to people. You've been struck by a smooth criminal, Keith. Hi, Marcus, how are you doing? Thank you, Marcus. I do have a husband. Oh, you saw my I don't think so. Oh, geez. I'm so excited about my Halloween costumes, you guys. I have 6, maybe 7 if I can find it, because there's this one Tupperware tote like floating around that has an older costume in it. But I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm gonna start off with like what I think is the best funny one, and then end with what I think is like the best actual Halloween costume. And I don't want to give it away. I'm always like this. Like if I buy a gift for somebody, I'm like, I want to tell them about it. I like want to tell you guys about it, but I'm pretty proud for what I threw together, because I didn't buy a whole outfit, because they're all like $45 to $65 for the cheapest, chintziest, like the worst quality. It'd be different if it was like actual quality. I that would be. But these are the kind of costumes you wouldn't be able to wash once. I trade value for value, no stealing, Keith said. Tony, Lydia, I would find it interesting and intriguing to hear you speak about connecting with psychic ability. Am I saying that right? I swear I've experienced weird things, especially through dreams. Yeah, Tony, I think we all have psychic abilities. Where is it? Edgar Casey? I hope I'm saying that right. He's from Kentucky and he was like known for like prophesizing certain things. He was also wrong about things. And like people would come to him to get readings and like I think he wasn't a doctor. I think he might have helped people with like medical advice and everything. And, like, I think that it's possible to for anybody to be tapped into that stuff, and um anyways. And other things in person, but could be chalked up to just knowing that person well. It happens so infrequently, but when it happens, it stands out. Well, just pay this is my best advice, and, like, I'm not an expert in this at all. I, like, backed off of that stuff, like, when I had the shadow person's experience after I walked in a graveyard and went into labor the next day, I saw shadow people. I had a few other experience like, I really, like, backed like, of course, I still indulge in, like, true crime stuff, but when it comes to I don't know, I just always, like, instinctually, I wanted to stay away from that, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I did see it as, like and that's another reason I lean towards Christianity because the Bible says, like, "Don't mess with any of that," you know, and that's just, like, what I felt was right and what I still do feel is right to a certain extent, right? But, of course, a lot of Christians might consider me some kind of a witch or something, but anyways, I think you pay attention to that and, like, it knock on wood, I always know when there's a speed trap, like, every I have a little bit of a lead foot, and every single time I feel like slowing down, and I'm right, and, like, before I'd be like, "Oh, I don't wanna," like, I'm still knocking on wood because 'cause I'm still slightly like, I don't wanna hex it, I don't wanna, like, bring it up because then it's less likely to be true, but it's the opposite when it comes to that. Like the more you bring it up, the more you acknowledge it, the more you're like, I feel this, I know it's right. I just know it is. And I've predicted a lot of things. And like the other day, I knew my son was going to get an upset stomach. I knew he was, I knew it. And I like get the Pepto-Bismol. They have this Pepto-Bismol now that's got like ginger in it. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. It's like these chewables and, like, I just, I'm a mom. Usually I have, like, ibuprofen and something for your stomach, but, like, I didn't, and I was like, "That's not in your bag, like, grab it and put it in your bag." I didn't. 15 minutes later, my son's in the car, and he's like, "I feel kind of nauseous." I'm like, "Oh my god." So it's things like that. I don't care who, like, thinks I'm crazy too, you know what I mean? It's just, like, having that confidence that, like, I think that it is part of being on the right path to, like, the synchronicity which might be like new agey, something that people that are like follow the Bible don't think you should follow either. But like I do think that the more you experience signs and coincidences aren't really coincidences, it's synchronicity and it's like the universe or God's way of telling you you're on the right path. Are you saying your oldest son has green eyes, Mr. Carey? I didn't know that. That's another thing. I can't say I've experienced anything supernatural that I couldn't convince myself that it was a trick of my mind, but my mother and sister swear about those creepy things. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. There's a lot of things that I thought might just be and with my health issues, I sometimes I get floaters in my eyes. It doesn't happen anymore, but I've had like periods of time where I just see a lot of stuff out of the corner of my eyes just because like, that's not a great thing either. Like if you get floaters in your eyes, you should talk to a doctor about it. But I was fine. Oh, tell him you say hello. I thought you meant my Logan, Yoder said. Tony, one of my sisters is so stoic, so down to earth that when she also said she experienced what they did in this old house, I was in shock. Oh, it was in an old house. See, I would love to have an old house one day, but gosh, that would suck so bad if you felt like it wasn't like quite yours. But I always like when I start to feel creeped out by any presence, I just picture myself in like a golden orb and like that's like my protection. And that always seems to help. But like I said, I used to love to go walking in graveyards when I was younger. I haven't went since I went to graveyards for funerals, but I haven't went just walking around in one for the heck of it since almost 16 years ago. I had Keith said I read the nervous system. It's my favorite gaming system. Earthbrain. I had a sleep paralysis for the first time last week, and there was an alien with a hood right in my face. Are you serious, Earthbrain? That's scary, isn't it? I didn't remember mine. I didn't. That's one thing that I have experienced too. I remember waking up and not being able to move, and it was the worst feeling. And I was I don't recommend this. I'm not giving any advice. I don't recommend this, but my baby was on one side, my husband was on the other side, and I felt like my baby, and that same period where I saw the shadow figures, I saw something drawn on our mirror that like was not us. And I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like I've seen things with my third eye just like 3 times in my life, or you see something, but it's not there, but you still see it somehow. And I can't describe it other than that must be what they talk about when they say the third eye, you know? There's like this creepy demon thing in a tub in the same place I experienced other stuff. And then once I and this was the same apartment. There must have been lots of activity there in the suburbs, east end of Louisville. There was a big cornfield, an old silo, and right by that, I saw Indians that weren't there. Like I know I did. And that's something that like a lot of us in like I think that we were shamed like the powers that be, like, they took that, confidence away from us on purpose because the more you acknowledge it and you're like, "Yeah, that happened to me. Yeah, I saw that." One of my sisters oh, I already read that. Yoder, nope, my Logan, Harry said. Oh, I'm behind. Carrie, maybe that's why they think we are each other, Logan and Logan. That's funny, Yoder. Mr. Carey, I was talking about your eyes, lady. Someone said your green eyes would rule the world. I know I saw. Keith, may you just automatically and naturally adapt, improvise, and overcome to naturally avoid harmful intentions with every healing breath. That's nice, Keith. Tony, it's getting close to Halloween, so I'm just getting into the mood. If it wouldn't make you feel uncomfortable talking about it, always down to hear ghosts or creepy stories around Halloween. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like I have to do something, or at least a few nights of scary Kentucky stuff. I don't know, I personally wish I had boobs. I would so stare in the mirror and see if one is bigger than the other, Mr. Carey. Oh, that's when you just use your hand. I don't know, I just read that. It was a house that they lived in before I was born. The house even burned down later when they moved. Apparently, my dad was unusually mean and abusive there. My mom would see a green light from the attic, and my sister swears up and down they were chased by some floating dark figure with red eyes. My sisters also said they saw the green light from the attic, like an airy green light. That is crazy, Tony. Oh my gosh. It sounds like maybe it was a good thing that house burnt down. I hope nobody was hurt when it burned down. Oh my goodness. I think I brought this before. I don't know if you my mom, this is after she moved out. She was like married and she came back to house sit for her mom. My grandma and her husband had this house in the country and they went to Las Vegas. That doesn't matter. My mom was there and they knew that a man had unalived his girlfriend and then himself in that house. And I'm getting goosebumps. She had this Polaroid. They're so hard to fake. A Polaroid picture. She took a picture of piano. On the piano bench was oh my whole body has goosebumps right now, you guys, because you don't understand how many times I saw this picture when I was little before my stepdad got mad at her taking it out when she got a little buzzed during social gatherings. And he threw it away. Like we might have made money off of that. It was such a good picture. It was clearly a spirit sitting on that piano bench, and the swirly thing from the head swirling up to the ceiling. And they had another picture of like this was a spirit. It's just like almost looks like a ice cream cone, the swirly thing at top, like all over the ceiling of the room. And so she said she had sleep paralysis. That's when that happened, actually. She was like staring at that ghost, and then when she could finally move, she snapped a picture of it. Isn't that wild? Her husband was a photographer, so they always had that, that husband. I've seen things with multiple people that have to be real, Earth Brain said. Yes, I believe it. I totally believe that I think that's one reason why they did set aside national, like, there's just going to be national parks for numerous reasons. But one reason, in my opinion, might be that they knew there's like certain portals, for lack of a better term, to other places that are more sacred for whatever reason, more likely to have certain things happen. But I don't know that for sure. Okay, I'm so down for scary stuff for Halloween. Yes, Yoder said. Someone posted on YouTube to watch your candy if you trick or treat this Halloween. Mr. Carey I always bring her up, refashioned hippie. It was so funny. She's like, check your kids' candy. And she opened this little M&M's pack and it was one M&M. She's like, look at this. One M&M. Yoder, I got a picture like that. We should all email you pictures and stories if we have them. It would be fun. I wish I could screen share. Oh, Mr. Carey, thanks. I wish you could see my face better in that last one. I have a kind of goofy smile on my face. I'm like, "Oh, this is funny." I'm like, "Horror," you know? You can't really see it. It was a better sticker. Thank you for posting all that, Mr. Carey. Well, you guys, I'm not guaranteeing anything, but I don't know if I'm gonna get back on here, but I'm gonna end this live because I feel like when I have a subject, it should, you know what I mean? I shouldn't go on for an hour past being done talking about it. I basically think every woman should be able to do whatever she wants within reason, and I don't think it's within reason to completely forego medical care. I don't. Even a good midwife will give just you just pee in a cup, you know. They check your pee, they check your heart rate, they check baby's heart rate, you know. Um, there was a woman who a Mormon woman, not that doesn't really matter, I don't know why I said that. She, like, married her husband within a month of meeting him or whatever. They seemed genuinely in love, it was kind of sweet. And she was all about, like, no prenatal care. She was showing all of her pregnancy on TikTok and others, and it looked painful. I am not making it's like some kind of, contact dermatitis, she called it, on her face. It looked sincerely painful, like, it was concerning how bad her skin had changed, and that's gonna be a sign of so many things, right? I might be wrong, but I think including preeclampsia, and she's just one of those people that thought, you know, I don't think that your beliefs I think th you know, your baby doesn't have the choice to like just like leave it up to God, right? And like we're like blessed to have the interventions that we have. And those same people, like I saw so many YouTube videos where they're like going out into the woods. Like I get it. I sincerely get wanting to be in nature, but like in like a tent, like in these remote like camping type situations, it's so strange. It's like we're just trying to like one up each other, you know? Like it's not going to be the ultimate free birthing sovereign woman experience until you're on top of Mount Everest doing it with no oxygen either. You can't have the oxygen, supplemental oxygen. You have to be a real badass sovereign wild woman about it. And yeah, I can't stress it enough. I think it's a little sick and twisted. I think you do feel um you know, pushed into these different like arenas. You can do whatever you want. You can like just like to really follow your instincts wouldn't be to like stick with one program, one group of people, one community and do everything that they tell you to do how they do it. You know what I mean? To be a real sovereign woman would be to buy into none of that too much. Does that make any sense? I think that makes sense. Oh, we love being here to chat. We get it, Tony said. Remember, move your clocks back an hour November 2nd. Oh, Mr. Carey, you need to remind me again around November 2nd. Let enjoy many good conversations soon, my strong, resourceful friend. Keith, thank you so much. Even the Amish seek out medical help when it's necessary. Right. The Amish have midwives. Like they know like we've a lot for a long time we've had midwives now. You know, for a long time there's been women assisting other women birthing. And I hope I did a good enough job explaining like I the man is so needed. The but like that's what I'm like there's nothing like that woman who has been through those contractions who can advocate for you because she knows what it feels like to feel you right then, and, like, you know, and, a good husband is definitely gonna be empathetic, but it's just oh, it makes me kind of sad that, like, this so now this is the ultimate I wanna end it on this. This is the ultimate goal to just be you and the man that got you pregnant. I saw the shorts, it was cute. She's like, "We're gonna end this how we started it, just me and my man alone." It's like, "Woo," you know, trying to be all sexy. You're cute, that's cute. But, like, if there is and it like, as soon as I just think about all the women, like, emergency situations, it's not so cute anymore, you know? And like, God forbid something bad happen. I don't see how you could not walk around for the rest of your life like with that hanging over your head. And um so yeah, this was really interesting to me. I always knew it was a thing. I didn't know it was a like a literal movement, them calling themselves a society. That there was women out there who said that midwives subconsciously sabotage birth just like doctors and nurses. That's wild to me. No, we've had midwives for like what thousands of years. We definitely need them. Thank you, Tony. Why is a dishwasher giving advice? I can't wait for you guys to see one of my dishes. Oh, it's gonna be so much fun. I'm gonna go before I give it away. I love you guys. I hope you have a great night. If I don't see you again tonight, I will see you soon. Tim, I'm leaving now, but I'll be on soon. If not tonight, I'll be on tomorrow, most likely. Um, Nate, may you just automatically and naturally find your path to your healing with every healing breath. I love you guys so much. I roast cameras. I just send trolls to bed without dinner. Stay blessed. Lydia is a GE dishwasher. Yeah, I don't know of any better brand, or I'd be like, no, I'm a da da da, but I don't know. I know Viking is like a really expensive oven brand, right? Do they make dishwashers? Okay, bye, Lydia. Sorry for being late. Don't be sorry, Tim. I'll catch you in the next one. I was early tonight, right? Usually I'm not on till like 9-ish. Love you guys. Bye.